Hi, welcome back to Market Focus. I'm Brad Levin, and thank you for taking the time to join me today. As you can see, I'm still coming to you once again from my home offices. All of us at Legacy Wealth Partners are still working remotely for the most part, but we're doing well, and I hope you are doing well too, most importantly. And I wanted to reach out to you today to address this recent volatility that we're seeing spark up in the stock market once again. This time, the key factors driving the sell-off are, number one, we've got a rising level of COVID cases actually reaching record levels across the country. The second thing is we've got an election just a few days away, a very uncertain outlook on the minds of most Americans who are very focused on what this election may mean for both the stock market and the economy. So in periods of uncertainty like this, we think it's important to focus on the things that we do know and to really assess the landscape very carefully to get a sense of what it holds for us from an investment standpoint. So I want to focus on some of the things that I can tell you that we feel very confident about. Number one, I feel very confident that in a few days we're going to have an election and we'll be able to cross that item of uncertainty off the list. We will know soon enough, probably not November 3rd, but we will know soon enough who the next president is. And what I'll also tell you is that regardless of the outcome, about 50% of the population is going to be really upset, at least in the near term. But we're going to get used to it one way or the other. Even if we don't like the president, we're probably going to go about our lives as normally as we can, given the circumstances that we're living in today. And we're going to buy essentially most of the same stuff that we buy right now. So this idea that the stock market and the economy are going to collapse if the wrong candidate's going to win, we think that's absolutely ridiculous. And Wall Street also agrees. In fact, Wall Street is essentially coalescing that the idea is that the stock market is going to continue to go higher from here after the election, and the economy is going to continue to recover. And in fact, today we got some very positive news. GDP in the third quarter grew by 33.1%. We've already recovered 2/3 of the economic output lost since the recession began. Also, in terms of COVID, we're making some important progress. We've got a lot of treatments that are working on treating the cases much better than before, and the mortality rate has dropped significantly. We also have 9 candidates for vaccines in stage 3 clinical trials right now, and that tells us that very soon we're going to have at least one vaccine available in the very near future. There's a few other things that are very important to focus on, and that is that we're not going to get a stimulus done before the election. That is certain. But we are going to get a stimulus package approved soon thereafter. It's not a question of if, it's just when. And in fact, I think the longer it takes, the bigger it's likely to be. The economy is doing okay, but it could definitely benefit from some additional support to help out the many Americans that are still unemployed and struggling through this crisis. The next thing I want to tell you is that when it comes to investment choices, investors have to decide where to allocate their capital. And you've got 3 main options: stocks, bonds, or cash. Well, cash and bonds right now are very poor alternatives. Savings accounts are yielding next to zero, and bonds are being affected by the lowest interest rates we've ever had in history. Good for mortgage refinancing, bad for savers. And we're expecting that we're going to have interest rates this low for the next few years, in fact, through 2022, according to Fed Chairman Powell. Lastly, what I can tell you is that right now what we're seeing in the stock market is really a sentiment-driven sell-off. But the fundamentals of the world economy are actually improving, and we see that showing up in the data that we can measure. So we're going to get through this sell-off. The market's going to recover and move on to new highs from here, and that I can tell you for certain. We will continue to monitor the situation and advise you to help you move forward with certainty, prosperity, and security, and also overall well-being. Until the next time, thank you for watching. I'm Brad Levin.